You're winding me up! Take this and that! Ah!
Wind up Britain. Why do I say that? Well, because I feel that everything the politicians and the media are doing are just to wind the British public up. And then when it explodes, because you know what they're looking for, which is civil war, contentions between different people living in one place, usually economic struggles and psychological struggles and, no future and things of that nature. So I really feel we should call it Wind Up Britain, because they know what they're doing. They're deliberately doing it because they want to see problems between particularly the working class. Because the upper class will not fight. They will just allow the working class to go at it with each other. And there'll be no winners. There will only be casualties. God knows we already have the NHS struggling to a point at the brink of collapse. And we're going to add to that. That's what we're going to do. And that's what they want. They want to see unending pain and torture. They want to see that. And needless to say, even after that, they also want to see generations to come to have an issue. Because this won't only end here. This will go on from generation to generation. Like fables and old wives' tales, and this happened and so, and this is the tradition that we're keeping. Similar to what would be with Russia and Ukraine. The war doesn't just end once it's finished. It goes on and on from generation to generation. The hate continues. Palestine, Israel, same thing. So they know exactly what they're doing. They could make it peaceful. And the crazy thing about it, you have these, and I would say demon platforms like Instagram, like Facebook, like YouTube, that allow heinous videos to see one of the most frightful, heinous crimes against pensioners by immigrants who have come over to a land that is literally like milk and honey, free healthcare, free housing, free education, and they come to destroy it. If you ask me, I feel those people have been planted, because in all my, belief in, because my father was also an immigrant, came over, and I understand that his intentions, and I understand that many intentions of immigrants, legal or illegal, is to, better their lives. But when you show one picture, one video of a heinous crime caused against a Caucasian lady, for example, then they know automatically that will rile the people up. They know that very well. So they will show it over and over again, because if it was such a crazy thing and such a thing that they abhorred and they did not want it, they would be on it like we would be if we talked about the LGBT group or anti-Semitic. They would be on it. But no, they let it ride because they know exactly what they want to do. Wise people, sensible people, rich people, well-connected people know that war is the worst thing that could happen. They know that. They would rather go the legal route or the psychological route. Bear in mind, guys, I have a platform on all these platforms, and I hear the response from the people, and the people are not happy. And this is why I brought this program called Wind Britain Up. Because as an actor, as we had in the, a couple of years ago, we had the BAME, Black and, I can't remember the acronym, Black and Ethnic Minority Ethnics, or whatever. That made everyone into one group outside of white. And they used the BAME to kind of do a DEI, which I also believe is unfair. If you're not good enough for the job, you should not be accepted because of the colour of your skin. Again, why is it done? Who creates it? This is the question I'm trying to ask people. Who creates this? Who allows these situations and these topics to even be talked about? It's not people like you, and it's not people like me. These are people who are high level, orchestrating curriculum, school curriculums, orchestrating what goes on to the news, orchestrating what TV programs to show, orchestrating what agenda or direction theatres, and having names and acronyms, and that dictate what we should be doing. And another thing that really rattles my cage is the putting us into groups. You're left. You're right. They can go to hell, because they're basically simmering us down, condensing us down into groups like you would in a chicken pen. You're this group, you're that group. We are so much more intelligent, so much more complicated, so much more in our brilliance. We're so different, and you cannot dictate a person, one particular person. You cannot dictate what they're going to do from one minute to the next. And of course, I have elements of, right wing. I also have elements of left. And that's one thing we have to deal with first of all, is do not ever put us into groups. I'm not in your group because I don't belong to your group. I'm an individual, free thinking individual. And this is the main thing that we have to deal with. And they're doing it deliberately with all these propaganda of, people getting attacked, people are getting, old women are getting attacked, these people are doing this. The only thing I can say, and the only equalizer, would be you have a Christian country. And that doesn't mean that you have to be going church and Bible bashing everyone around the head. That means that we know who we are as Christians. And we want to run this country as a Christian country, Church of England. And if you want to come into, the fold, then you must be a Christian. It's very simple. Because there is no way one can separate by colour. That is just a recipe that will never be created. It's not possible. We're talking from, the historical times of 1900s, where blacks were, even the Moors, if you heard, the Moors were here. And they were dark hue. So it's impossible what they're trying to do, but they know it's impossible. But what they try to do is push it further and further to cause you and I and everyone else anxiety problems, stress problems. I say to you, the only way we can deal with this situation first is finding out who is a Christian and who is not. Who is on your wavelength, because it has to be wavelengths. And these people, I personally believe, should be our leaders. But they have to be tested as true Christians first. Because it makes no sense to have someone who is not a Christian running our country, telling us what to do with their beliefs. It makes no sense. This is not hate talk. This is common sense talk. You're not going to get a person to understand me if they've been brought up in a completely different culture, even in their bloodline, as it pertains to epigenetics. They still have that certain mindset. I carry my father's mindset from back home. But I choose to adopt to the country that I'm living in and respect the country that I'm living in. And we can go further and further and further. This is the perspective of a person living in the UK. Now, if you ask me about my perspective of a black person living in Africa, it'd be the same thing. That's what we call fear. That is what we call fear. And of course, there's been wrongs done, history past. There have been many wrongs done. And of course, one step closer is to acknowledge it. You know, I was a substance abuser for many, many years. My story would blow you away. And I climbed up from the rags up to riches. And I realized that the only step I could make in the right direction as a substance abuser was to acknowledge that I have a problem. And that is what I want to afford to you. Realize that, okay, we have a problem. You know, we did some wrongs in the past. It doesn't pertain to me. I acknowledge it. And I will do all I can to make peace. And I'm telling you, I know for a fact that if you put that across, people like me would say, it's okay, it's no problem. You'll find that it would be so much easier. For me, I respect the land I'm living in. I thank God for the UK. I thank God for Africa. I thank God for, all countries in the world. But as it pertains to being here and abiding by the rules, I think you should be here. You should abide by the rules. And if you want to change anything, then you need to leave. You need to leave if you do not respect the land. Like if you was in Africa and you did not respect the land, go away. Go back to where you are comfortable with, or what you are familiar with, if you're not comfortable. But I think there's a huge, huge divide at the moment. And I believe it's just deliberately designed to wind up the English and the British, personally. Now, if we just take our traditional programmed hats off for 1 second, you will see what I'm saying is, in fact, the truth. The whole truth and nothing but the truth. As a man of God, I urge for peace because I know war will be devastating, something we do not want. And to add to that, we don't want to have a BAME community against a minority. So guys, if you want to hear more, leave a comment, naturally, or follow me on Carla Bellis at yahoo.co.uk, or follow me on Linktree/Carla Bellis. We want peace. We don't want war. And we certainly don't want war that's propagated by the elites, the government, the media. Stop winding up Britain.
You're winding me up! Take this and that! Ah!